Hello out there, and welcome to our creative homes. Today is the first day of our Westport Creativity Collective, our landscape edition. We have some wonderful artists here today that are going to reveal a photo in their homes for the first time. In the next few hours, paint that photo. I'd like to introduce our artists for the day. We have Diane Cole, Tamara Carlson.
Hi.
Karen Bell.
Hi.
Amy Wickenden.
Hello.
Isidora Spielmann.
Hello.
And we have some hosts. We have Paul Millar, Trevor Connell, Lexi Lyons, and I'm Leanne Schachow. Thank you for joining us. So what I'd like to start off with is the big photography reveal. Everybody's been awaiting this moment. Yesterday, they've been given their envelopes. Let's see your envelopes, everyone. Oh, they're big. Oh, they're big. Has anybody tried to peek at them, or has there been any peeks? No? What about you, Amy?
No, she called me and said, don't do it.
That's good. So this is,
she called you out.
so really quick before we open these up, Trevor, where did this photography or this photo come from?
We decided to, for the first edition, we wanted to focus on some Westport landmarks. So you'll see when the photo's open that this photo was taken last year, I believe, around this time. So we actually have some of the same scenes that would be if you were here in Westport today. It's a combination of landmarks and some landscape and some wonderful, it's a great view of Westport. So we hope that the artists will be inspired by the photo, and we hope that they'll immediately have some thoughts about how to paint it.
Excellent. Well, let's see if everybody is going to be inspired of this landmark landscape of Westport. All right, let's open them up, everyone. I see Amy has been the first to open.
Okay.
All right, so Tamara, what are you thinking in your first reveal? What are you thinking?
So the first thing I'm thinking is this is a space that I've sat and looked at a long time for many years. So I guess I kind of think I'll probably try to create some kind of atmosphere about how I feel about the place. And yeah, I don't paint buildings very often, so this is going to be fun.
Karen, your first thoughts?
Oh, I'm scared now.
There's no need to be scared.
I know. I have to think about this for a bit because I've not done buildings before. So I'm sort of looking at this going, this could be an interesting thing. But I also look at this view often because I'm on the lake on the Upper Rideau and I look towards Foley Mountain. So not this close up, but yeah. So it's very familiar, beautiful, beautiful photo. So thanks for that.
Diane, what do you? I see you glancing over the whole thing.
It's a challenge, and I don't normally go past the cove, so I actually have never seen this angle. And I'm looking at what my focal point is. I'm wondering if I crop it. It's a lot here. Wow.
It's going to be very exciting today. All right, Isidora, I know you have a lot of background. How are you feeling?
I think just as scared as everybody else. I don't usually paint houses, buildings. I love the view, so we'll see. We'll see
Amy,
what.
I left you for the end. Give us a roundup of what you're feeling right now.
I actually really like it. I was nervous to do something that kind of everybody knew, that was so prominent. But what I like about this is it's like everybody knows where it is, especially local people, but it's maybe not that first like landmark of Westport that people would think, but it's very familiar to me. Like Tamara said, growing up here, this is somewhere where we would go and sit quite a bit. So just kind of taking it all in too.
That's great. And I know a few of you had stated that you're a little nervous. It's maybe a little bit out of your comfort zone, but that's not what we're here for today. Today we're here just to create and inspire everyone else to join ourselves and join our homes to watch us create and maybe inspire them to create. So just remember, we're all here together as a group, as a collective, to create something beautiful, and it's somewhere where everybody knows and has been, and just find that comfort in you and spend some time enjoying the process. It's the process that really counts. It's not the final product, it's going through the process. So let's see everybody start, and we'll touch base a little bit in a bit.
That's good.
Thank you.
It looks like everybody's starting to get going. We have Isidora there putting down a nice horizon line to start with, sketching out a little bit of the picture. We have Tamara getting some of her paints ready. It looks like a little titanium white and a little bit of a blue, mixing in some light blues, likely, to get that going. Tamara's pretty confident. It seems she's going right in without a sketch. And we'll just see as everyone keeps going, because it will all start a different way. You can see everybody has a different type of mind. We see a little bit of a mathematical sense to Karen and Amy. They've got their measuring tapes out to just kind of gauge as to where they're going to put their buildings and where they're going to put their foreground and their background.
So I decided to challenge myself today because I didn't know what the picture would be, but I told myself I was going to paint on this canvas. So the challenge is, of course, you can see the shape of the photograph versus the shape of my canvas. So I will be probably altering a little bit what I'm doing from the picture to the canvas, depending on how I'm going to make it fit.
Well, I would assume that everything is going to get a little altered today, because it's coming from different perspectives, and it's coming from different backgrounds, and it's coming from different techniques. Some of us here today have been painting our entire lives as just as a hobby. A few of us here today are painting with a lot of experience after attending possible art universities or colleges. A few of us teach courses in art and do workshops. And some of us, this might just be a first, second, or third painting that they've ever done. And we're gonna learn a little bit more about each artist as we go along with the day, but we all come from different backgrounds. So this is going to be a very exciting moment.
Totally folded the picture now. So one of the things I want to make sure was that I didn't get kind of lost in trying to squeeze in, because I'm really bad at trying to squeeze a picture into a canvas and like trying to do everything. So what I tried to do is pick like the focal point that I wanted to kind of look at, and then make the picture, the canvas, like find the canvas in the picture kind of with the dimensions, instead of trying to take the picture and squeeze it into the canvas, which I'm bad at doing. And then I find like I tighten it up too much and my spacing's off. So I tried it different today. Kind of learning from mistakes I've made before.
Well, that's really great, because the photograph has been photographed by a photographer and they have their own perspective on things. So no matter what happens today, we're always going to get a little bit of a different perspective. So Amy, I think that's a great idea, to crop the photo for yourself. Now, Trevor, do you know where this photo came from and who the photographer was? I wonder.
I do know who the photographer was. I took the photo last year as part of, I believe it was for when we launched What's on Westport last year. We had a little launch party at one of the local breweries, the Westport Brewing Company. And before the event started, I took a walk down to the pier as I normally do, and saw the perspective. There's actually a couple photos of this. There's a really long perspective down the sort of river in between the island and the shore of the building, and then there's this one as well. And I like this one because it was a little more encompassing of the structures, but also gave the feeling of sort of tranquility and you know, a calmness. The sky sort of was really calm that night, and then also the reflection in the water really sort of added to it. So that's sort of a little bit of the history of the photo, but also why we thought it might be a good starting point for our artists, because it encompasses a lot of things. Some people may not be used to painting buildings. Some people may not be used to painting reflections. There's actually a person in there as well, standing on the dock on the far side. And it's a wider shot. So Amy's thought of cropping the photo to fit her canvas is a great one. And I expect that some of the other artists will do some of those similar things too, to put their own spin and their own creativity on this.
Well, it's a beautiful shot, Trevor, and you're very talented as a photographer. So thank you for the photo. I think this is going to be an exciting way to see how your photo is transferred into minds of other creative minds. So that would be a very.
I love that part of this. I think it, you know, working with other creatives as I do when I'm taking photos of people and that sort of thing, getting everybody's input on framing and techniques and lighting and all those sorts of things. I love that sort of camaraderie that comes out of this. So I'm really excited to see what the artists do with the photo and really what areas they focus on, what areas they don't, and bringing their own sort of history to things as well. I think that they're, you know, what they gravitate towards in terms of painting is going to be really unique to see as well. So I'm super excited to see how this comes about.
And I know, Trevor, you're very much part of the community. I know you're involved with the What's on Westport website. That's fantastic. It keeps us all up to date on events, community, and businesses. And I think this is just another way to bring in the community aspect to the creative lives of the people of Westport and the surrounding area. So thank you for that Westport vibe, What's on Westport. I did want to say a quick thank you to Doug Gander at the Wordsmith for printing this photo. The photo is a beautiful print. I mean, that's an art in itself. So we'd like to give a big shout out to Doug for printing that photo. So thank you very much. So let's take a look into some of our artists' homes. So let's talk to Tamara first, because she's moving along quickly and comfortably. Tamara, I know Tamara because she, both her and I both work at Rideau District High School as art teachers. And Tamara also teaches media arts, photography, set design, and English. And she is a great colleague to have, a wonderful person. So Tamara, tell me a little bit. I read a little bit of your bio, and you said that you started when you were young, and your first experience was with your grandmother. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, so my grandma Richardson was an artist, and she never did it professionally, but she did enter the Rideau Valley Art Festival that was in Westport for many, many years, and some other art competitions, and she often did very well. and sold work even when she didn't want to. She was that kind of artist who would make a painting because she loved it. And then when it sold, she was always disappointed she'd actually let it go, you know? But we painted off and on together when we had a chance. And my first one that I remember doing with her was this bowl of fruit. And it was just something we could do together, and something that I think brought us closer, even as I grew up and ended up going to university for visual art. For her, I think that she, probably was very proud of the fact that there were people in her family that were going on and doing more with it than she was able to do, because of course she was a very busy mom, and they were in the military and moved around a lot, and so she wasn't able to go and do that type of thing. So I think she was proud of me for going on and doing that, which was really nice. And so I have fond memories of that for sure.
Well, I bet you she would be very proud of you. Your artwork is beautiful that you do. Very
Thanks.
inspiring. Just really quick, you're welcome to go back, Tamara, but
Okay.
I just wanted to ask Lexi, one of our hosts today, because Lexi has had you as a teacher, and she's been a student of yours, and I just wanted to see what Lexi had to say as Miss Carlson, or Tamara, as a creative mind.
So Miss Carlson has been someone that has definitely been letting creativity go through her teaching in every subject that she has taught. I've really appreciated her. I've had her as a sub for art, but I've had her mostly for English. And it's been something that's been a really great experience, because she just allows that creativity that she has, she encourages that in other people and lets that flow through kind of all aspects of
Thanks,
just
Lexi.
whoever is around and whoever she encounters. So that's something that's really pleasant and admirable about her. So I definitely go Miss Carlson.
Thanks.
There'll be lots of students out there watching this in the future, and enjoying watching the process of this happen. It's funny because as an art teacher, often you don't get to show your talents to kids in the class in a full piece, and you show them techniques and you teach them how to be creative and think different ways. But I know in the back of their minds, they're always wondering, can they do this themselves? And
Yeah.
it's always nice to see, it's always nice to see your teacher, whether it's in math or in science, to see them doing what they love to teach. So this is a nice way to see this.
Very true.
Maybe we can take a peek at Isidora. Hi, Isidora.
Hello.
Wow, you're just moseying along there. You're doing really great. That building is looking fantastic, and your little foreground is looking great. The reflection in the
Thank
water
you.
there.
Yeah, I'm trying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I use oils, I'm laying the first color down in acrylic, so it dries quicker. So I have sort of an idea of where things go, and then I can do the slow process of color and more color and different color and shift the color. So first of all, I lay it out, and I'm actually surprised. I was also thinking I would just take a little slice of something, but I'm intrigued by the entire picture. So I'm going to try to put as much in as possible.
That's great. So you're going to start with some acrylic because it dries super fast, and then move into oil paints. So you have a little more time to do some blending and some color and lights that you can work with over some time.
Yeah, yeah.
That's great. If anybody knows Isidora, you would know that she is not just a painter, but she's also a tailor. She is a designer. She is a teacher. She has a lot of different creative aspects to her. And over the course of the day, I'd like to touch a few of those once you get going, to find out if some of those aspects maybe overlap with each other. Some of your clothing line that we're going to find out a little bit about later influences how you paint. So maybe think about that as you're going. Not too much. Focus on what you're doing, of course.
Okay.
We'll come back to that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Karen, let's take a quick peek at the first stages of your artwork. What are you doing over there? Are you starting with the water?
So hadn't decided, but then when I mixed my blue, it was more the color of the water. So I started at the bottom. Typically I would start with the sky. But what I did was I chalked out a grid and then I folded the photo because like I said, I'm not a great drawer, so I need to make sure I put them in the right spots. And I know I will not be able to do some of these buildings, so I'm gonna simplify them, which is what I kind of tried to chalk out a little bit. So I took out stuff I knew it would just look like a big blob. So it will evolve on its own, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
And I was reading your bio that you sent in as well, and you're kind of a beginning painter. You were inspired by Isidora taking a few of those classes that she likes to teach, a few of the workshops. And so you thought you would try something new, and you've painted before, but you've used YouTube as a stepping tool to follow step by step. So this is really your first painting that you've done on your own, starting from scratch. So we're all here rooting for you and looking forward to seeing what you have.
Yeah.
That's going to
Tips
be
are welcome. I don't mean money. I don't mean the tip jar. I mean suggestions. So thanks, Leanne.
no problem. Have a great time.
I will.
Well, let's take a peek at Amy. Hi, Amy. Let's see some colors that you've mixed up into your palette there.
Okay, but I actually have like stuff on my canvas. It's just I tried to sketch out kind of the one building that I really like. Like, it's really intriguing to me that it kind of just pops out. So I'm trying to get a good feel for where that's going to go first. So, and
That's
I
great.
actually was taught mostly by Tamara as well. She used to do art classes. Our kids are both the same age, and she used to do art classes in the summer. So I would always attend them because I've always wanted to do art, and I just frig around with it at home. So she's been a great inspiration to me as well. So.
I love you.
So Amy, I've looked at some of your work that you've submitted, and I can see some of it in your background. Funny thing, last night I was sitting in bed and just kind of reviewing a few things for today, and my son was laying with me, and as I was flipping through, he stopped it right on your page, and he said, "Oh, I love that one." And it's actually that one, that red one right behind you. And he said he loves it. And I asked him why, and I thought for sure it was going to be the colors, the sunsets, because you said that you're really inspired by sunsets. And he said, and he's 7, so keep this in mind. He said, "I love the detail." I said, "The detail?" He said, "Oh yeah, I love the detail."
Lauren said the same thing. He goes, "Look at the boats," and he's like going in and looking at it. It was so funny because I wouldn't have thought he would have noticed them. So
well, I think people, when they're looking, they want to see something, right? And they want to be surprised a little bit, right? And I think when you see your paintings for the first time, it's the color that just pops out. But then in that one in specifically, there's so much more. You start looking a little bit closer and you can see that you feel like you're standing on a balcony, looking out at a whole bunch of things that are like, have action and are moving. And I mean, he didn't say that in his own words, but I think as a younger person, that's what he was thinking in his head. And as an older person, not that old, but as an older person, we like to take a look at those things too. So it's a great piece. So I know you were a little nervous because the amount of talent we have here today is very high, and you are, just a hobby painter. It's fun. You wanted to try something new, but I think you're at the same level. I think you're right with everyone else.
Thank you so much. Well, we'll see how this turns out.
Maybe you could just show us the colors you're working with, because I know you love color and light.
Yeah, I love the colors, so I'm trying to create the nice blue. I love that it's muted with the dark greens. I love that contrast. So I'm just starting really, I got my base colors, but then really the light blue with the little gray in it. So I like this, but Tamara says that I'm not allowed to use it unless I really have to.
Okay, so the reason for this is she wants to learn and she's doing amazing. So I said, like, the challenge is take those primary colors and make them work for you and see what you can do to develop color. So because I'm making her do that, I too only have blue, yellow, red, white, and a little bit of black, which we joke about because I always say I never paint with black.
I don't use black. I
I
don't
have a
use
little there.
black. But
I'm doing it too.
if it gets really in the weeds, I'm going for this. So
Do it.
That's
I'll
good.
let you know beforehand.
I hope you'll keep a little Amy in it where you really focus on that bright color and don't focus on too much making it representational. So it's the detailed drawing. It's really nice to see that you bring your own vibe to it. So let's find out what happens in the end. We'll come back to you a little bit later. All right, Diane. I'm going to need you to unmute for a moment. I know Diane needs to mute because she has dogs that
And
don't understand when to bark and not bark. But hopefully this is a moment that they will take a moment and watch you because there's a lot going on in that painting right now.
I have cropped out this whole red roof building, cropped it out. This is overwhelming. So now I seem to be doing the white building because I love the wonderful reflection. I wish I had a bigger canvas. And this is a real challenge. This is huge. But it's going to be abstract. That's what I always do when I'm overwhelmed. Let's abstract it.
Absolutely. And my favorite way to do things is abstract. I've got a few paintings on the go that I've started, but they do mean things. Abstract is very important. So to creative minds, it gives something to think about. It transforms something that you normally would see into something else. So feel free to go a little abstract. I know that you really enjoy the outdoors. I've read in your bio that you are very interested in all the seasons. And I'm interested in the fact that you've moved from Toronto to South Frontenac. Is that correct?
That's where I spend my summers, but in Prince Edward County is my home. I retired and we're in Prince Edward County. It's wonderful here.
And so I'm just relating it to my life. I moved up here from north of Toronto about 15 years ago, and it was supposed to be a quick stay, and I never left. It's a long story, but it's not for today. But is that what happened to you? Did you find yourself gravitating to the rural areas?
We just got very lucky. I had health concerns that were life-changing, and we just decided to cut out. And we had visited Prince Edward County, and I found a house that was 160 years old on the water, and my husband was so supportive. We just left the city, and I retired. And it's grown a great deal since then, but it's a very, very creative place. I belong to art groups and writing groups, and it's wonderful. And then on in all the seasons, all the fields, all the barns, lots to paint around here. But we're at Canoe Lake in the summer, and that's lovely with its rock faces and its herons and its loons. Saw them all this morning. Whippoorwills now last night. Getting off topic here.
That's great. You don't see that in the big city every day. So
No.
here, I know you've said that your inspiration is painting the landscapes of Eastern Ontario. So it seems like in Prince Edward County or in South Frontenac, you can really find those locations too.
Everywhere, all around me.
Yeah, great. All right. Well, I'm gonna just turn it over to Lexi to give her a little bit of her thoughts about looking at what everyone's doing in general. And then maybe we'll give you some quiet time to collect your thoughts, put a few more layers down, and we'll come back and touch base a little bit later. All right, Lexi, let's hear what you think.
Thanks, Leanne. Well, I'm just really enjoying kind of watching everyone with their different process. As Leanne was saying, like everyone has their own perspective and their own. I see the that main large building is grabbing quite a few people's attention, which I know was kind of my first go-to as well. So I'm really excited to see how everyone kind of takes on that. I love seeing how everyone's starting from different angles. We have some people who are starting, like Isidora, starting just with like the tonal values of things. And then we have like Karen that's working with the grid. And that's something that I know Leanne actually taught me when I was taking classes from her, was I needed to take on things a little bit more geometrically. So that is something I really appreciate when I see another artist doing. But I also love the just like confidence that like Tamara is bringing. I think that is super cool. Go you. And yeah, just Amy and Diane, I think I'm super stoked to see how those are going to all come together. Yeah, I think it's going to be really cool. I'm super excited. Leanne's super excited. Paul and Trevor, who are kind of behind the scenes right now. I know we're all here like just to watch this process unfold. And thank you guys for being available and willing to do this. And just, yeah, share a passion and share a side of yourselves that not everyone gets this kind of intimate view into this world that you operate in. So thank you for that. Yeah, we're going to give you some time just to kind of focus in, and we'll check back in a little bit.
All right. Have fun, everyone, and let's see what happens in a few minutes. Hi, Avery.
Hey.
Have fun. Hi, everyone. We're just checking in. No need to stop. We just wanted to talk a little bit while you guys continue working. Again, we wanted to say thank you to Paul Millar and Trevor Connell. They are our co-hosts, but they are co-hosting from backstage. Trevor will be doing the editing. So if you're seeing this right now, Trevor has put this all together, so thank you. And of course, Paul had this big concept after being inspired by Landscape Artist of the Year, and he thought we could bring something to our community in kind of that vibe of Landscape Artist of the Year and bring it to our community. Yes. All right, well, let's take a peek at what's happening here right now. It's looking really good. Lexi and I are very, very impressed. Just as a thought for the future, we're thinking that maybe this is something that could happen again. So if you're watching this right now and you're thinking that you want to be a part of it, we would love to have you. All levels from beginner to advanced are invited to join, and you can join as a participant either from your home or, depending on our living scenarios, which are changing all the time, it may be an outdoor event in the future. But you can join as a participant online. You can also be live streamed from your home and possibly have some video from there. You can also just be a viewer and keep watching the beautiful minds flourish in this type of atmosphere. And again, it's not just for people. It looks right here, it looks like a lot of us may have kids, a lot of us maybe have moved through a different stage of our lives from our teenage years, but we're looking for people of all ages. So youth are definitely invited, of course, and all through all stages of life, because it brings a lot of different things to the table. With that, I think we want to think about, if you were to start, what do you think, Lexi? How would you start, or what would you suggest, or what are you thinking as a possible beginning artist?
Well, for me and my experience is a lot more of the digital art. So I have done some illustrations on like children's novels and some logo designs, but I have never really been painting. And it's not something that was like a decision. It was just something that just never really happened. But I have to say that after kind of watching this, I want to jump in. There's that part of me that wants to go and finger paint with Tamara or be so precise with Karen, and like there's all of these really cool techniques that I'm getting to see, and I'm just, as I'm watching this, I'm wondering, Leanne, as a teacher of art, like how would you recommend that someone starts? Like what are the tools, what are the techniques that you think someone who's beginning should like pick up, should look into?
Well, how do you start? Well, I mean, it's funny. You think back when you were young, it was so easy. You just did it. And as you get older, your mind start thinking a little more, and you start thinking more in details. And sometimes it stops us. So I think the best thing and the best advice I could give would just to start. Just go for it. You need to just get in there, get dirty, get colorful, and just be expressive. I think if you're looking specifically at materials, Lexi, you need a few things to start. At the high school, we use some paints we use acrylic paints that are water-based. They come in little containers like this, but honestly, if you just bought yourself primary colors, which are red, yellow, blue, and then a white and a black, you can create all the colors in the palette and use some cheaper paints just to start those painting, start putting something down on the canvas. Canvases are different. Canvases can be used from the dollar store for sure. There are different qualities of canvases which hold the paint a little better, but as to start off, I would suggest, honestly, go to the dollar store, pick up some canvases, get some paint, and get yourself some paint brushes. Brushes come in different sizes. So the sizes are based on the width of the brush at the end there. And you can buy different types. This is a flat brush, so you can use that to do a lot of edging. This is a nice round brush, which you can get into some nice details. But depending on how you work your brushes, you can probably use either of those for anything. So if you just buy yourself one round brush and one flat brush at any size, and a canvas and some primary colors, I think you are set to go.
That's super helpful. I think I can remember the big little, medium. I can do that. That's cool. That's good to know. And it's also really interesting, even with you just saying that, watching people's different techniques through this. So like I'm getting to watch, some of my favorite is actually seeing from the history of what we've been hearing a little bit about these artists is who's inspired by who and has been like taught a little bit. So I'm even noticing between like Karen and Isidora's original techniques were very similar in the sense that they're starting with kind of natural beige tones and working with a really stark like difference between the skies and then the deep tones that they immediately brought in, which is just really interesting to kind of see. And even between Tamara and Amy, there's these really great kind of transitions from each color that they're bringing in. There's like they're working with a lot of different shades of each one, which is really kind of neat. Something I'm noticing even just with the brushes, that's kind of fun to just be able to watch all of you awesome people work. Isidora and Diane, you guys started your sketching with holding the very end of your pencil with like a really light and like almost like a shading technique. And Diane's been actually painting with the same way, which I think is just really neat. I haven't seen that before. So I think that's just a really kind of cool thing I like want to highlight to anyone who's kind of watching along, maybe skip back, maybe skip forward. I don't know, you can kind of, it'll be all put together, but I think it's also really neat just to see that Karen, Amy, and Tamara are all using very like precise movements and with a lot more kind of gusto behind it, which is just really interesting, right up on those bristles. And I'm kind of seeing that working in as just the types of brush you were talking about, Leanne.
Yeah, it's really fun seeing an artist learn from someone and use some of their techniques. And then in this instance, almost creating their own perspective on how they're painting and using their own techniques to change it into their own personal style. So Diane, I'm just looking here right here at your bio really quick. It's hard to see your painting because it's a little high. So I'd like to maybe see a quick, oh, there we go. Very cool. So you have a few artists, Canadian artists that you've been inspired by. And a Canadian artist named Harry Stushinoff. And he was one of your inspirations to look at, and he seems to like to work with very small paintings, start them and finish them in the same day, work on landscapes, and it seems like that's what you're doing as well.
Except bigger. So I usually break every one of my paintings by overdoing it, going back in with the detail and getting small. And I really like them when they're fresh and they have energy, and they have laying down one color and then muted ones behind it, so that one pops. And I like to use Indian ink and lines, so David Milne and his line work. And so I'm pleased with this so far, but you watch, I'll wreck it.
Well, that's important. It's important not to overwork it, right? It's important to know when to let it go, when to stop. And I think that comes with experience, right?
I like dry brush, and I like my canvas to show through the primer on my canvas. And when I overwork it, I look down and it's gone. And then I know I've gone too far.
So dry brush is just a way where you put a little bit of paint on your brush and then you kind of wipe it off to the point where there's not very much wet to it. And so what happens is you kind of just fluff over your painting and you can still see through to the background what you have put down, which gives a nice little fuzzy artistic
energy.
That's right, artistic energy. I love it. That looks really great. And you said David Milne, he's an artist that dates back to the late 1800s and the early 1900s. He was I think he was inspired by the Impressionists, and he used very quick little brush strokes. And I saw in some of your work that you posted some of those quick brush strokes. So up close, they kind of look like quick brush strokes, but as you pull yourself away, it all starts coming together. I wonder if I'm going to see some of that in your work today.
Who knows? My fingers are crossed.
Me too. I can't wait. So we're gonna sign off for a little bit right now, and we'll check back in unless anybody has anything that they want to say or say to the people watching this wonderful experience. All right. Well, we'll see you guys in a little bit. Hi, everyone. We're at the half point of 2 hours, and we just wanted to touch base with how everybody's feeling. Before we start that, Lexi has a couple questions for both Paul and Trevor.
Yeah, so I got to be involved in some of the early stages planning with this, but these guys are the real runners of this whole thing. And I know that the inspiration for this just came for your guys' heart for the community and wanting to see some connection and some just positive energies being put out there for the community to kind of connect over. And I don't have any specific questions. I'm just curious, like, do you guys have any input on like what you're seeing and what your hopes for this are or anything like that that you want to just put out there?
Trevor, do you want to go ahead?
Sure. I'm totally inspired, and if I can be inspired by just watching, a bit of these artists' work behind the scenes, let alone finding out a little bit more about how they bring art into their daily lives, what inspires them, I think that hopefully anyway, it will offer some unity in our community. It'll offer some inspiration in our community. And being a photographer and watching other artists work through their process is always inspirational to me. And I didn't really get into painting. It wasn't something that I was ever really strong at. But I take a lot of my visual cues from paintings, light and shadow work. I've always, when I'm shooting landscapes or anything that has, textural elements to it, I'm always drawn to the Group of Seven and Tom Thompson. Those were some really big inspirational artists in my early career. And I'm self-taught. I mean, I've been at this for probably 15 years now, maybe more. And there's always something new to learn. And, we're in a weird time where, we're being asked to social distance and physical distance and keep away from other people. Yet I find myself really needing connections to other artists, and I'm hoping that this will be a good way to fill that gap for the time being. And I'm hoping that it's something that we can grow. Watching just even these recordings early on, my mind is just racing as to where we could go, what we could do with this. And even if no one watches it, I think that, just being a part of the process, for me anyway, is very rewarding. And I look forward to hopefully continuing this with more artists, and hopefully we'll have these artists back again too in the future. Even if we are able to go back to our daily lives, next month or whenever, I hope that we've started something here that maybe we can really grow on.
I think for me, what I've been reflecting on is people are way overusing the term the new normal. And this is not the new normal. This is the in-between time where we actually have freedom to create a new normal, like that can be anything. And I'm not an artistically gifted individual. If anyone saw the video where John Pringle and I did the Bob Ross along with Bob Ross, I did my best, but I love seeing how things come together. I'm like, if I'm driving by a construction site, I actually want to just pull over and just see how things come together. And what I think is beautiful about these artists is from the same image, having a different perspective, having different starting points. And a lot of my life is more kind of about the heart. And to see people physically doing what I see people doing even in a kind of a personal and a spiritual way of tackling something different, and of approaching things differently, and finding their expression. I think, finding expression is such an important thing. And if we can, even this time, instead of this just being this oppressive time, but this can be actually, well, there's freedom in this new normal. And maybe it's something paint-wise, artistically, where I can just say, you know what, next time this happens, I'm going to paint along with it. And I'm just going to try, because this might be a new normal for me to express myself and to just even process, because as these artists are painting right now, they're processing, it's not just light and shadow, hues and different colors. It's almost a meditative thing. And so I don't know, I'm excited about a new normal. So if we do a paint one, I want to paint alongside. If we do a pottery one, I want to get my hands in clay. If whatever we do, I want to find the freedom in the new normal. So that's why the idea of this was so exciting to me.
Well, I'd like to take a moment and maybe touch base with our artists today and see where they're at. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Trevor. I just want to see if even maybe at this point, you can give us a little information about how you're feeling, about where you're at this point, and what you're thinking for the next little bit towards the end of your piece. Just to keep in mind, the reminder is that the process is the important gap, right? It's the important moment of what you're doing this for. It's to come together, it's to create connections, it's to be creative. And everything we've done up to this point is a beautiful moment. But I'd like to take a moment and just touch base with each of you to see how you're feeling. I did want to think about where you're coming from. So for example, Amy, you were a hairstylist, you did color, you did design. How is it you're feeling? Do you think that has anything to do with today, or are you feeling this gap of creativity for today with inspiration from somewhere else?
Oh, yeah, I was a hairstylist, and then I also do pottery as well. So my whole kind of thought is outer lines. So that's what I try and look at, kind of that empty space to the line, because everything I do has those harder lines, like the haircuts, had a shape. Pottery has a defined, you can hold it, it's 3D. So I think that what I try to do is go in and kind of find those really crisp lines, and then work around those and kind of find where the light hits it. So same with hairdressing, I always would make my clients kind of go outside and look at their color, because when the light hits it, it's completely different. So that's where I'm kind of working from, trying to anyways. We'll see how it goes.
Are you feeling good at this point?
Yeah, I'm getting a little worried about the time. I've tried to kind of, cover the canvas with the block colors to kind of make sure that I, I'm going to it and layering it. But yeah, the time, the one that you saw took me 8.5 hours. So that's the one, that's where I get caught up in the details. So I'm trying to pick and choose where that is.
It looks great. I really like it.
It does look great. And it looks like you're almost, it looks like you are more than halfway to where you need to be. So I wouldn't worry too much about the time frame. Just keep plugging away. And I look forward to the last little crunch time for it.
Yeah, thanks.
What about you, Diane? I know you attend a lot of workshops. You do a lot of retreats. You like to do courses. Has that influenced what you're working on today? Or is this coming from somewhere else?
I got quite a mess going here. It took me a while to find the mouse. I enjoy this sort of things, what we're doing today, and taking courses and going on retreats. I like the camaraderie, and then it forces me to paint, where I have trouble going up to all by myself to the studio and doing it on my own. So this 4 hours, we really get a good painting in. And so that's why I really enjoy the process. As we've said many times this afternoon, I lose myself in it rather than consciously. I should be consciously thinking about where I'm putting my brush, and I just get in there and start blending everything, and Anyway, I'm pointing out my flaws.
I know
can't
that you
remember-
like, I know, sorry. I know that you like to make every brush stroke important.
Intentional.
Did you do
Yeah.
that today?
Yeah, I'm trying. No, I'm enjoying myself and I like what I've done. So that's all that matters, isn't it? Yes.
Absolutely.
And I normally work flat. So I'm finding this hard. I am holding my hand up like this. It's kind of shaky and the perspective is so close. And now with the ink I'm putting on, it's hard when it's up on the board like this, but we'll see.
We'll see. I look forward to seeing what comes out.
Thank you. Thank you.
Isidora, you were trained as a master tailor in Venice and you have your own clothing line. I know that on your website you've stated that you like to, just before you create something, you kind of like to walk through the space, kind of see the textures and materials of your fabric. Does that happen with your art as well, or are those two separate things?
Well, there it is. Okay, perfect. No, I think it is basically always the same process. I stand back and then I see what comes and pick all the things together and make a whole. Try to make a whole. Try to make the story out of the pieces. Like with when I make clothing or costumes, I take the person in account who is going to be wearing it. With a painting, nobody needs to be wearing it. It doesn't need to fit anybody's couch. But I do look at the whole. And then I pick, like you can probably see, I do a little here, a little there. I have sort of the idea together of what the whole is going to look like. And then I spend focus on one thing and then I go away from it and go somewhere else and come back again or goes to a third place. So it's little pieces. I'm just jumping around.
It's exciting watching the process of everyone because everybody has a different style. Some people like to stay in one spot, finish it, and then move on. But Isidora, we are watching you jump around, and that's an interesting way to do it. I guess you get an idea and you get a vibe for one spot, and then you want to merge back to a different area because you get another feeling for a different spot.
Bring the balance back. You know, if one thing is becoming too, it's going up there in detail, then the next one has to come up too, to see how it all works out together.
Great. It's looking fantastic.
Thank you.
Karen, well, I have learned that in the past, I'm not sure if you do it right now, but in the past, you have been an artisan selling soaps and creating organic soaps and bath products. That's very creative, and you may not think that that ties in with painting, but do you think that's helped yourself today in your first non-instructional painting?
I don't think so. I think the videos did help me, but I'm struggling. I have to be honest, I'm really struggling because I don't know where to go. So I know I'm not layering properly, and I'm one spot and then I go, oh, what about that? And then I try to fix something else. So I'm a little bit all over the place. I'm gonna fix some trees.
It's a new experience. It's a very new experience, and we're asking you to do it in such a time frame, right? To go from beginning to end, which would maybe not be the norm for everyone. So it's fun to break out of your comfort zone and try something new.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's fun.
I think it looks fantastic. And Lexi thinks it's great too. We were just discussing it, and we are blown away from the level of talent in this group. So everybody should be very, very happy. Tamara, I know you are one of the greatest teachers I've ever met. Do you think that comes into play today, or is this just you being just awesome?
Well, first of all, I think that's like a really great introduction. We should definitely keep that in the take. You know, teaching has helped me in the sense that I really feel like I understand how to break down the process, what's going to be easier if it's on the canvas first rather than last, because when you're teaching it, you have to, help the students understand how to be successful quickly. So you're kind of breaking those things down. So, I mean, yeah, that has helped. But then I'm not perfect at what I'm doing. the first time I've done a building and since I was like 15, I think. So working through that process is just kind of understanding how light and shadows working. And as far as what I've been painting, for me, like I said at the beginning, I wanted to create an atmosphere. And when I go down to the spring where this is located and look across at the old mill, I always feel the vastness of the landscape that's in front of me. And so for me, the building will be important, but also all the space that comes away from the building, because people would come from Ottawa or up the Rideau Canal from Kingston, and they would, you know, kind of bring their boats in through here, and probably ships for the mill early on would appear through this kind of vast space. And so for me, this open space to the Rideau Canal is really important.
I think it really represents you, because you're such a free spirit and you're so easygoing that this kind of takes a little bit of your personality, and with all the excitement in the photography and the photo, you found a way to keep the representational photo, but create a mood that only Tamara would would
do.
Of just
that's a good thing.
And relaxed. So it looks really great.
Thanks very much.
I think what we'll do right now for everyone is invite you at any time to unmute yourself over the next hour or so, to talk to us. If there's something you want to talk about, you can just unmute yourself at any time and discuss something. We're going to let you kind of have your own time for the next little bit, until probably about the last half hour of what we're doing, and see where you're at that moment, maybe around 4. And then we can chat back then. Does that sound good to everyone? Little thumbs up. Everybody doing good? Thumbs up with that? All right, that's great. We'll see you then. Hi, everyone. I'm just taking a peek at the photograph that you're all painting from. And I just conferenced with Christine Janeway, who lives in Westport. She has a lot of background information about Westport and its history. And I just wanted to share with you a little bit about the buildings. The building on the right, which is currently condos, it used to be the International Buckle Factory. It used to create single harness buckles for horses, which seems really cool to know. Since then, it's been a dance hall. And also since then, it had a little restoration done because the roof, the white roof on the top, it was torn down at one point, but has since then been restored to an original roof, or the original looking roof, which is a very cool thing to know. Now, even more exciting, not that that's not exciting, it is, but even more exciting, the building on the left, I thought this was very, very cool. It was built on the foundation of the Ryan Hotel. And the Ryan Hotel used to be the best hotel in all of Canada. It was built up to be a beautiful luxury hotel. And what it had, according to Christine, who Janeway, it had areas to fish from very, very interesting spots. Now, you wouldn't think you would be fishing from these spots, but you could fish from your hotel room. So up on the second floor, it was made so you can fish from the hotel room. And it had a kind of a tunnel going through the bottom of the hotel that you could bring in your boat. But also, if you were to go down to the cafeteria and eat, you could also fish from the inside of the motel in that tunnel. A little cool tidbit of information, but as you're painting, maybe you can feel some of that historical vibe of Westport. Hi everyone, just checking in, taking a look at your process. I know everybody looks like they're painting a little bit quicker now that we have about 40 minutes left on our time frame for this wonderful day that we've been sharing together. Just a quick reminder that it's the process that really matters today. There's a very famous artist, Jackson Pollock, and he was the one that painted all those splatter paintings. And he would paint them in front of a group of in front of an audience. And in front of that audience, that was the piece. The piece was him creating the work. What went on the wall afterwards was not the final piece. And I want to really emphasize that that's what we're doing today, because coming together and connecting is what this is all about. So I want to see where you're at right now, how you're feeling for the next 45 minutes or so, and just touch base with each one of you in this last little time crunch. So, Diane, how are you feeling?
Oh, I'm exhausted. But I like my painting. I think I'm almost finished. I think I'm finished for this afternoon. I really need to take a break and stare at it at a distance and see what else needs correcting. But I'm done for today. Yes, it was a challenge. It was very challenging for me. Architecture. Oh.
All right, well, we'll touch base with you in 45 minutes.
Okay.
Tamara, how are you feeling right now in the last 40 minutes?
Tired as well, but it's going well, I think. I'll get you a little bit closer because I'm kind of far away from it. Let's see here. Don't know if, where am I? I won't. There we go. We're getting there, and I could use a little bit more time, but I'm pretty happy with what I did today. And
That looks amazing.
yeah, I mean, it's definitely just at that point where I need to step back as well, come back to it, and fill in some details, have a steady hand again for that little bit of architecture we're trying to create. But yeah, I feel pretty good.
I'm glad you feel great. Karen, how are you feeling right now?
I also feel like I need to take a break because I need to fix my trees, and I keep going on top of it. It's still a bit wet. So yes, it was very challenging for me. The buildings were hard, and just so much different kinds of trees. And I would mix my greens. I go, oh, it looks the exact same as the one I just did, and I was trying to do something different. So yeah, just practice, right? So it was kind of fun.
It's beautiful. You should be very proud.
Thank you.
Amy, you're working away there. How are you feeling?
Yeah, the time's creeping up, that's for sure. And yeah, it's like rushing to kind of know which part to put in and which part to kind of forego and leave. So it's coming together though. I wanted to make sure I focus on the building and get the detail in that, because that was what I was looking at the most. So, 40 minutes, that's crazy.
That is crazy. Good luck.
Thank you.
Hi, Isidora. How are you feeling today?
Hi, Leanne. I'm feeling pretty good. It's something completely new, and I'm still looking at. Yeah, it's fun, but I don't know what else to say really. I'm by no means done, but it's not even that far away from it. I don't know that I will finish it in 40 minutes, but it can be done.
Well, ladies, we're going to do the best that we can for the next 40 minutes. Feel free to take a moment back, get yourself something to drink, take a moment, take a look at it, and then maybe come back to it. And then we will do the big reveal in about 40 minutes. I look forward to seeing you then. I hope you blow us all away. All right, artists, we have our last minute coming up right now. So we'll see you in 59 seconds. All right, artists. Wow, that was a long haul, but it's time to put your paintbrushes down. That must have been a great feeling to get through 4 hours and creating a beautiful piece. Let's do a big reveal. I'd love it if all the artists could bring their artwork safely over to the cameras or the cameras over to their paintings. That's amazing. Keep your paintings up there so everybody can take a peek for a few minutes at each one. Let's see how you all feel. Tamara, what are your final thoughts here at the end of this?
I feel great. You know, it was a long time to paint, and I thought actually 4 hours would be more than plenty time. But I still have a few little things that I would probably continue to work on here. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it.
What about you, Isidora?
I feel the same way. I'm surprised that the 4 hours, I didn't feel like running away. I used the time, and I'm pretty much done, I think. I would maybe tomorrow go in and add a little or tweak some, but more or less, I think I'm there.
Amy, what are your thoughts?
I don't know. I felt like the time went by really fast at the end. I felt really good for the first 2 hours, and then when you said half the time had gone, that's when I started to feel like I was starting to rush. So, but yeah, I would definitely go in, and there's a lot more detail I would like to add, but I got everything on the canvas. So I think
Excellent.
it is.
Karen, how are you feeling?
Sorry, Karen?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Good. I wish I'd taken more time to do my drawing, but I wasn't sure how to cut it. Like I was thinking maybe I'll do like how Diane just did the one house, but I wasn't sure what to do. So I thought I'll just try to do the whole thing. And then of course, I got crazy about the way I did the raft and stuff like that. But like I said, that's my weak part for sure is the drawing. But yeah, I'd like to go in maybe a week from now and touch up and try to do more of this shadow, because I really couldn't do that. I just struggled with that so much. So I just did white lines, as you can see. But no, it was fun. And I loved seeing everybody's at the same time. Like I could look and go, oh, that's so good, you know? Yeah.
Great. Diane, how are you feeling?
Fine. I like what I did. That there's still more to do. There's lots of little things to do, but I must be careful not to overdo it because I like it right where it is right now, kind of loose and not, yeah, it's good. A great experience.
Well, this was a huge challenge today. This is a huge challenge being the first of the Westport Creativity Collective. Everybody should be very, very proud of themselves. The artwork you don't realize because you're looking at yours for so long, but looking from the outside, we are blown away with how beautiful your art pieces have come to life. They are all so different, even though they are the same picture. They keep your style, they keep the magic of who you are, but they really bring out something that we've done together as a team, as a group, and as a collective, doing one thing. And that was the goal today. Everybody should be extremely proud. Trevor, how do you feel about your photo coming to life?
You know, it was a really awesome experience from the outside looking in and watching everybody work, and everybody's brought their own inspirations and creative eyes to this, and I'm blown away is really the best way to describe it. I think everybody's done a fantastic job, and you know, I want to applaud you all for going through this process with us. You really did a fantastic job, and I hope that you're proud with what you created.
I want to say a quick thank you to everybody that was willing to put the time and the effort into building yourself as an artist and coming together as a collective and doing something as a community in a time that it's hard to find time to get together. So thank you so much. Isidora Spielmann, Tamara Carlson, Karen Bell, Diane Cole, Amy Wickenden, You guys are an inspiration to the community. I applaud you, like Trevor said, and you should be very, very proud with what you've done. All of those need to go up on your wall, and you need to stare at it with a nice coffee or a nice glass of wine and enjoy what you've created today.
Thank you. And thank you, Trevor.
Thanks,
Yeah.
everyone.
Thank you to Leanne and Trevor and Paul for coming up with this idea and following through with it. It was a lot of fun today. And I love everyone's paintings. I absolutely love each one of them. They're fantastic.
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone who was willing to come out and devote their time for this. 4 hours is long. You guys were in for like a marathon of painting, and it was really cool to watch this unfold and for you to share just your minds with us and your process and this journey that we got to come along with you. Thank you for Trevor and Paul for being the masterminds behind this and just sharing kind of their heart for the community with us, and Leanne for being such an amazing host and leader for this. We just want to invite everyone of you at home who was on this journey along with us, that just got to watch this whole experience, to actually get involved. And we've set up a email that you can contact us at, creativewestport@gmail.com, which I'm sure will be somewhere on the screen when viewing. And make sure to like and follow the What's on Westport page on social media. That should be linked somewhere on this video that you're seeing, because that is where we'll be updating any previews or any new projects that we'll be working on. Thank you so much again for joining us, and we hope you guys have an awesome time till the next time we see you. Bye.